Hello, this is Wendy Jensen, your second life midwife, here to help you rebirth yourself into the greatest version of you. I help people who are transitioning out of high demand religion to be able to get back on their feet and gain the skills that they need to move forward in their life. And I have a question that comes from a student of mine that was in an online course. And she says, could you explain why otherwise intelligent people cannot see how obvious it is that the church is a farce? How come you can come to them with all these reasonable reasons to why it cannot possibly be true, and they will find ways to justify why it is? And these are not just your normal average people. They're intelligent people with degrees and doctorates and businesses and success in the world, and they still buy into this idea that the church is true. And so before I get into why it happens and what happens to us when we experience these things, I wanted to just let you know down below is information to connect with me. If you're looking for someone to help you navigate through this terrain, this unknown terrain that you're experiencing as you're transitioning out of the church and trying to find your footing into a new world, into a whole new land, then I would love to be of support and assistance for you. And you can start by just subscribing to my YouTube channel. I have a Facebook support group. I also have online courses. I do private coaching and mentoring, and I'm here to help you navigate through this time in your life. And I love doing it. And so let's move on to this question of why do otherwise intelligent people, why can they not see through all of the things that are so obvious to us, even when we present them with logical information, rational information, evidence and facts that there is no way it could possibly be true? Why do they still buy in? And let's first talk about how this affects us. Because as we investigate these things, we've had some kind of entry point where we started to ask questions that didn't have answers. And we had this level of cognitive dissonance that was so uncomfortable for us that we could not let it alone. We had to study. We had to research this because we want answers. And your desire for truth superseded your desire to be included. I'll repeat that. Your desire to know the truth exceeded your desire to be included. Not everybody reaches that point. And so let me explain a little bit why it makes you feel like, why me? Who am I to think that I'm smarter than this apostle, or this stake president, or this area authority, or this surgeon who still sees value in the church and the gospel and believes that it's true? It makes you doubt yourself and doubt your own journey and continue thinking, what's wrong with me? Who am I to think that I know better? So let me explain what happens there. The convictions that it takes for us to be fully indoctrinated into high demand religion, such as the LDS Church or Jehovah's Witness, those convictions, that conversion, if you will, those convictions require faith. Without faith, that you're not going to believe fully in your church. And that requirement of faith is made through your emotional brain, through the emotional part of you, not the logical part of you. Your faith is based on something emotional within you. And so you can bring all the logic you want to the table, but if that person is not having an emotional awareness, is not having the dissonance within, they will rationalize everything that you bring to the table because their faith is more important to them than the truth. So there's some other elements there. And that is, we have the ego. And I know for LDS doctrines, it's very much about the ego, about power, position, who you're going to be in the next life, safety, security, all of these things that are feeding the ego. And when you bring reasonable things to the table to express to somebody why these things cannot possibly be true, in their mind, that ego is assessing the fallout. That if I don't believe in this, and my whole worldview collapses, the fallout is far too expensive. It's not a price that I'm willing to pay. Again, their need for the truth has not yet superseded their need to be safely couched in the gospel and couched in that worldview. So if that fallout is going to be too catastrophic for their ego and they have too much to lose, then they will start rationalizing why they believe the things that they believe. And again, it's going to be very emotional for them. And their emotions will confirm, and their emotions will validate that the church is still true, even with all of these justifiable reasons as to why it's not. So there's another reason, and that is that they haven't asked the same questions that you have. They haven't reached that level of cognitive dissonance where things just aren't computing and it's not okay for them. You've asked us a specific stream of questions that are important for you to know the answer. And as you went and chased that question, that's where you enter the rabbit hole. And there is a point where you enter that rabbit hole where you know you're not going to come out the same person. And you do realize and recognize that at that point, that epic point where there's that faith crisis, that whatever your life looked like before that faith crisis hit and whatever is afterwards is going to be a whole different life. And many people are just not ready to make that transition, and they don't have enough passion or desire to know the truth. They would rather be safe in their place, and that's a personality thing, that's a character thing, that's just who they are. They prefer that safety and stability to this uncertainty and this bottomless, endless possibilities. It doesn't sound inviting to them, and so their mind will keep them safely couched in the doctrine. So again, I also mentioned that they haven't felt the stirring of cognitive dissonance enough to enter into that rabbit hole. And all their stability rests within the safety of that belief system that has given them black and white answers. That certainty, the ego loves certainty. And if I know who I am, why I'm here, and where I'm going, which are the existential questions we are all faced with on this planet as part of being a human, when I have all that answered, I don't want it interrupted. That's creating the stability for me. And even after you leave, that uncertainty is very unrestful, and we do seek stability, but many of us find stability in different ways, in ways that are more authentic and that aren't reliant on a belief system that has so many holes. So also understand that the structure of the indoctrination is organized in such a way as to prevent them from asking those challenging questions and inquiring because of the fear of unraveling the safety that's familiar to them. And so that, there's a threshold that you have to cross. That's, you have to risk losing your family, losing your relevance within the community. If you are a teacher within the institution, if you're employed by the church, where are you going to go? That person would probably rather not ask the questions and discover that what they believed in wasn't true. They're also taught that people who are outside the church are deceived, and they're very cunning and clever, and they're trying to pull you in so that you can be as miserable as they are. Those of us who have moved on know that that's definitely not the truth. We're also taught with thought stoppers in the church. And thought stoppers like doubt your doubts, not your faith. That's a little quip that's used to get us to not go down that rabbit hole. We're also taught that some of these questions that we have are things that we can only know at the next life. That's an excuse that we're given for things that we can actually get answers for in this life. It's just we don't want to know what the answer really is because it unravels all the doctrine. But that's a thought stopper. These are things that will be revealed to us in the next life. So we justify it there. Also, recognizing that the apostates are deceived, and they're just trying to make us as miserable as they are. Those are all little things that are wired and enmeshed into the doctrine that doesn't allow a person to cross a threshold. Their passion to know the truth has to exceed their need to be safe within the group and within their worldview. They have a lot to lose. So if you're going through this transition, You know what? It's requiring a lot of courage. And for many of you, it's more courage than you've ever had to muster. And a lot of times we don't realize that we can spin around in this cycle of confusion and needing that external validation over and over again, so we know that we're not crazy. And that's why I do the coaching that I do, is to help you get your footing again, to recognize who you are without the layers and the filters that were imposed on you under the influence of the religion. One of the things that I love, and maybe you can see my video about the dragonfly. I'm just about ready to create it. This is a story I tell on stages as I go to speak to ex-Jehovah's Witnesses as well. And that is the emergence of the dragonfly. And I'm just going to give you the portion of that emergence that has to do with this question. And that is, there's a time in that dragonfly's life that can be anywhere from 2 months to 6 years, where that dragonfly lives as a nymph in the water. It's an aquatic creature. And so it lives as a nymph until it feels some inner stirrings, some instinctual feelings that, I just want to get out of here. And so it starts climbing up a reed, and as it climbs up the reed and it feels the light of day for the first time, and it starts to feel oxygen and recognize that, oh my gosh, I do have the equipment and the organs and the makeup to be able to breathe air. Who knew that I was a land creature? I had no idea. And so as they sit there and they begin to crack open that nymph body and the beautiful body of the thorax and the beautiful bright colors of their new body that's twice the size of their nymph body that was all crowded in there and making them so uncomfortable. But to realize that you also have wings, that you're going to be flying, and it's going to be a whole different world, and you're going to eat different food, and you're going to sleep in a different way, and now you have this light instead of all this murky water. And who's going to be my friends? And the thing is, many times as members of the church, when this experience happens to us, we'll shake our little dragonfly fist down into the water and say, damn you, water, look what you did to me. And that's the point I want to make right now, is you were becoming someone while you were still within the confines of the influence of the gospel doctrines. You were becoming someone, and you were learning skills and important things while you were still under that influence. You were still growing. There just came a point where it became uncomfortable for you. The thing is, if you were to pull a dragon nymph out of the water when it was not ready and its body had not completely formed, you would really have ruined that dragonfly's life. So there are natural questions that come to the mind, and sometimes we can spur those questions, and sometimes that person is ready, and sometimes they're just not ready because they have things they need to learn under the influence of the doctrine still that are very important to their own growth and development. For us to pluck them out prematurely is not the best idea. And it would really stunt them in their growth. And many times if someone is pulled out before they're ready, that's double trauma. And they don't know how to get back on their feet. They're not quite sure how to process all of it. And so there really doesn't need to be any big hurry to get everybody out. Let them grow and develop. Let them be where they are. You focus on you, moving forward, understanding who you are, and capturing a vision for your future. There's one acronym that I use to help me remember where people are instead of getting frustrated or getting prideful about the fact that I'm awake and you're not. First of all, you're not awake if you're still offended by everyone who's sleeping. That means that there's still levels of awakening that you have to go through, and levels of enlightenment that are still before you, because it's not enough just to wake up. You also now need to grow up, and you need to clean up, and so that you can show up in your life with upgraded skills, prepared and ready for a whole new life. And so you cannot be in that place of resentment of where people are. And this is the acronym that I use to help me remember that. And the acronym is LOVE. Let others voluntarily evolve. Let them go at their pace. Let them ask the questions that will stir that desire for truth to be strong enough that they're ready to lose everything else. You know it's an epic shift. Let them do it at their pace when they're ready. I hope this was helpful for you. Again, if you want to connect, if you want to subscribe to my channel, if you would need some private coaching, I'm here for you. I have online coaching, group coaching, and I have a support group on Facebook, and I would love to connect with you on your journey. Take care. Bye.